This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. We have an older Maytag laundry center where the washing machine won't spin, and it's just a little switch, a lid switch we have to replace. So I've removed the front panel, and then I took out 2 bolts in the upper right and upper left hand corner, and I was able to then remove the top panel, and in the back of the top panel on the back right hand side there's the lid switch assembly. There's actually 2 switches inside, and the little white switch here is the one that we have to replace. So I've already taken out the old one, and I'm just putting the wires back on to the new one, and I'm going to be placing this now back into the case. You can also buy the entire assembly where it's the plastic case plus the 2 switches included. It's a little bit easier to do, but you can just replace the one little white switch that goes out. So I got that white switch back in, I got the wires back in, and this is an arm that I'm putting back into the assembly that actually pushes the 2 buttons on the switch, a little red button on the white switch and a white button on the black switch. And I'm feeding that in, and then I'm going to take the small spring that holds it into position. I'm going to pull it with my pliers and hook that back onto the plastic case. So that little spring pulls down on the metal arm, and the arm will push down on the 2 switches. And the thing that pushes the arm down is a part that's connected to the lid. So if the lid moves, it either makes this metal arm go up or down, and that either pushes the switches or lets the switches open back up. So I get that into position. I'm going to feed the whole assembly back into the lid assembly. I'm going to push in the plastic piece and then put the screws back in. This is a little arm that moves back and forth that can disconnect the spin feature if the basket is moving around too much. So I'm going to feed these screws back in. There's one long screw that goes in the back, tighten that up, and then one small screw that goes more near the front. And that's what's holding the lid switch into position. So here's the little screw that goes in the front, tighten that up. And then we can go ahead and reinstall the upper panel. It's going to fit into a couple of parts in the back, kind of like hinges. And then before I put it back down, I'm going to put this spray part back into position. It fits into the top, and then there's a couple little screws that hold it on. So I'll put those screws back in from the top. Also, to do this, I pulled the whole washing machine out away from the dryer. So you have to grab the whole machine, pull it out by about a foot. So I'm putting the screws back in that hold the upper panel on. They're in the upper right, upper left-hand corner.
Steamy. It's good. It's a good, healthy dishwasher.
And on the left side, it's a little hard to get to because you have the pressure sensor in the way. So make sure you have it unplugged, because the pressure sensor has some contacts that, if it comes in contact with the frame, it can do some damage if it's energized. So
there's one called
tighten that up. Right side. And then I'm using an angle tool to get into the one on the left because there's a little bit less room.
I should, but I'm used to it.
You can also pull the pressure sensor out of the way. It's pretty easy to just pull it out of the frame. Put that one back in. I'm going to put this little bleached rubber tube back on. And I'll put the pressure sensor back into position. Just push it right into the frame. There's a little clip that holds the pressure tube on. And we'll give it a test here, make sure it's working. Yeah, so that little tiny white micro switch was the culprit. And the red part of the switch that moves up and down was just stuck. It just wasn't coming back. So I'm just filling it up and then making sure that it fills correctly and spins correctly. One other weird thing that was going on besides it not spinning is that it didn't.
The switch is working right when you can hear it filling, but when you lift,
it would just fill and fill and fill until it
right?
overfilled.
And I don't think it was.
I want to make sure that it all the
on the free market
water levels, it's not overfilling.
Yeah.
So that was working, and the spin function was working. So
Yeah.
that one little switch.
Oh, he's going to UC
problems.
Davis right now.
Putting the front panel back in, come in at 45 degrees to get the clips at the top.
He went to St. Mary's over in Berkeley.
The bottom.
Oh, you went to St. Mary's? Ah.
And I need to make sure that I've got the washer pushed all the way back in to the dryer.
Great, good football coach.
And then once I've got that, knock these side panels back in.
Oh, that's cool.
And then I'll finish
pushing
the front panel all the way down into position, and then I'll add in the Phillips head screws that hold it.
Oh, man.
On the right side. Before you can pull the washing machine out away from the dryer, you have to
the things you're teaching those guys. I mean, you teach them, of course, how to play, what you're capable of. So good.
Out of the way, and then you can pull the washing machine away from the dryer. So I'm putting the upper panel back in. Just 2 Phillips head screws hold it.
Yeah.
So if you notice
if you've been taught right, you're totally trained how to do that.
You don't hear any noise, you don't get any action at all. Most likely it's just that little tiny switch.
Yeah, this thing was...
this is the little switch. The little red thing was stuck.
Click and pop back up.
So you can get the whole switch assembly, which is
back up.
the whole thing, or just this little one, and do the procedure I did. Hope this helps you and gets your machine spinning again. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe when you get a chance.